There are a lot of men on the internet that are looking for quiet, compliant women. Women who don't make waves because they actually believe that a woman who has a loud voice, that has big emotions, is a problem to avoid. But I'm going to tell you something that might actually hurt your ego. If you are intimidated by a woman's potency, it's not actually because she's too much. It's because you lack the capacity to lead. Oof. And I know that one can hurt because I was that guy. I'm not here to judge or shame you for it, but it is a conversation that needs to be had. Because when you choose a woman that shrinks herself so that you can feel big, you're just hiding. You're not leading. I'm going to talk today about why choosing a potent woman is actually the greatest gift you can give to yourself, because it's going to lead you to an experience of your power that you didn't even know existed. But you are going to have to learn how to meet her in her fire. I'm going to talk about 3 core points today and why you would want to choose a potent, powerful woman. And you're going to want to make sure that you stay till the end, because I'm going to give you 3 key shifts that actually have to happen, that have to be embodied for you to unlock the power and the potential in a woman that is alive. Because really, a potent woman who isn't making herself small, she's just alive. And she's going to help you become more alive, because you're going to have to learn how to dance with her. And before I dive into these 3 key points, I want to just give a brief description of my lived life here, because this isn't just information that I've learned in books. I know the contrast of both sides of the situation, the soft, passive, compliant woman and the powerful, potent woman. Just for context, for those of you that are new to me and my work, I'm in life with my beloved Courtney. We have a 4-year-old son. We have a podcast called The Sacred We, and we teach couples how to live mature adult relationship, what we call sacred relationship, which is using the medium of the relationship for our own awakening. One that is rooted in polarity and charge and shared vision and amazing sex and service to humanity in a way that's fulfilling for us. We want to really live a beautiful life and create a lot of impact in the world and leave a legacy for our son and our children, because we plan on having more. That's what's present day. That's not what my previous marriage was. That more is attached to the subject that I'm speaking about. I was the guy that wanted the soft, gentle, non-wavy, compliant partner. And when I first met my ex-wife, she was alive. That's what I was attracted to. The way she dressed, the charisma that she brought into a room, the way she would push against life and challenge things and do what she wanted. That's what I found sexy. And then we got into life together and something started to happen. She would bring her emotions and her power and her potency to me, and I would get triggered by it. I would find it exhausting, and I would unconsciously use my power to dominate her experience. And sometimes embarrassing to say, sometimes in a situation where she would break down and start crying and then abandon her experience and say, yeah, you're right. I'm going to go work on myself. And I felt so relieved of like, yeah, she received my power and my leadership, and I'm doing a great job. I was actually convinced that I was leading her in a good way, but I was coaching her. I was treating her like something to solve and fix. And I was stripping her from her feminine potency and aliveness. I didn't know that. And what ended up happening is I lost an accurate mirror and reflection for how well I was leading because she was so compliant. 7 years in this marriage, I just got weaker and weaker and weaker. My insecurities increased. My depression increased. I started using porn and scrolling Netflix. I was killing myself. I didn't realize it, because I stripped her of the very power and the potency that I needed to refine into the man that I was born to be. I didn't understand this. I don't want you to be in the same situation. So I want you to learn from my lessons. This is a phrase that I use often. Smart people learn from their own mistakes, which I've done. Wise people learn from other people's mistakes. So brother, please learn from my mistakes here. Okay, so core point number 1 here. Why would you want to be with a potent, empowered woman? Well, number 1 is she will be your relational bullshit detector. My partner, Courtney, if there's any place where I am in immature masculinity, which just means when I'm in boy-like behavior, which is passive aggressive or manipulative or, just dismissing or avoiding a hard conversation or not taking responsibility for something, or maybe not showing up in the best way with my son. If I'm in any behavior like that, she will come in with what she describes as fierce love, and she will call me out. She will give me an accurate mirror and reflection of how well I'm leading myself and the home. At first, I was annoyed by this because it was really uncomfortable. It would provoke shame in me. I didn't like that. But when she holds up a mirror for me, and I can actually see places where I'm being lazy, where I'm not doing what I know I actually need to be doing because she is bringing her life energy and calling me out. It's one of the greatest gifts that she can give me, because what I've learned is she isn't trying to destroy me and attack my character. She is trying to poke and provoke me in a way to see if I can be broken. Because if I can be broken, well, that's frightening for her, because now she can't lean into my providership. That's scary for her, because what she actually wants, and this is key, men, women are actually wanting an ally, a lover or partner to be in life with, to have a shared mission and vision that they can execute together. She wants to feel like she is in life with you. At first, I thought she was just like, out of control and messy and a problem. But now I recognize, oh, no. She's just like calling me up and forward into my power. She's refining the parts of me that are shrinking into whatever I was conditioned in. I grew up in a household with an alcoholic father. And so part of my default programming could be just giving up, coasting, just taking care of my immediate gratification and not really noticing or caring about the impact around other people, especially in the family, because we will just perpetuate and repeat the environment we grew up in unless we're with a powerful, potent woman, because she will mirror back all those places that you aren't showing up as the man that is actually leading the home. It's key. Okay, core point number 2. Her potency is the key to polarity. If a woman is not fully connected to what I describe as the wild woman inside of her, the wise woman, the oracle, if she's not connected to that part of herself, you aren't actually going to get the satisfaction of what it feels like to be in the charge of polarity in your own experience with her. What I mean by this is that deep, desirable sex, that the sexiness, the fire, the passion, the adventure, the exploration, the novelty that human brains just really love, that comes from her being in touch with the part of her that can be challenging. The big waves, the voice, the speaking up for herself. That's what creates polarity. The way that I really like to look at this one is surfing. I have a client that goes to these surf camps, and it's so, I love vicariously living through him and watching his journey of learning how to surf, and what it always invokes in me. I'm in Northern Canada, or I'm in Canada, not Northern Canada. I'm in Canada. So I don't surf, I snowboard. It's similar, but I'm going to use the analogy of surfing because I feel like it represents better. The waves are like an alive, potent, powerful woman. Little waves, not too exciting. When you hop on a boogie board or a longboard and it's just like a little swell, it's like fun to get up and stand there and look around, but it's not the excitement. It doesn't get the adrenaline invoked in your experience as a man if you're learning how to surf. And if you're not a surfer, Just imagine this, like how good it would feel to be the dude riding through the tunnel of a big wave and learning how to position yourself in a way where you're in the eye of the storm. You're in the center of that wave that's curling over, feeling its force and its power and the sound that's pounding in your ears and the mist that's blowing in your face. And then you ride it successfully because you're attuning to it. And then all of a sudden the wave ends and whoa, and you get spit out the end and you drift to shore and you look back and you get to feel the satisfaction of riding that wave. That's what it's like to be in life with a powerful, potent woman. It takes devotion to be in relationship with a woman like this because it requires learning how to surf her waves, her unpredictability. Feminine essence at its core is forever change, unpredictability. It's the great mystery. That's the part that is sexy. That is what we are drawn to. We're not drawn to women in sweatpants and a long t-shirt who's just like, yeah, honey, I've got dinner made and I did the laundry. Do you want me to give you a foot rub? Like, really? That isn't sexy because that's nature disconnected from itself. We want the woman that cares about how she shows up. A woman who's potent and alive is a woman who is devoted to life and her own experience. Prime example, Courtney. She loves to dress well. She loves fancy earrings. She loves to sing. She loves to decorate the home. She loves to plan, experiences that we go have in life together. That is the gift of being with a woman who is connected to her nature and her potency, is she will want to hit all of the experiences and she will want you to lead her in that. That is a gift to you, not just to her. Because if you can learn how to surf her waves and meet her in such a way, you are going to stoke her fire and she's going to give you the pleasure that you dream of. When you learn how to lead in that way, you now not just get to bring it into the home with her, you now get to bring this energy into your mission. This changes everything. Third core point here. If you choose a woman that is potent and powerful, you're actually choosing a partner, not a dependent. A passive, compliant woman who just wants you to bring home all the money and doesn't want to rock the boat. That's a woman who is more of a roommate, an agreeable roommate that you can just kind of walk into the house and do what you want, and it's not going to feel very good. It's actually going to feel really heavy because there will be a weakness that you will end up having to carry the weight of. There are a lot of men right now that are feeling exhausted because they actually see their partner as something to fix or to solve. And there's lots of like an overweighted amount of reassurance needed and having to help her through certain areas of her life because she can't even hold herself in it. That's exhausting. My sense is you already show up and lead in your life and are trying to lead yourself. And if you also have to caretake, not being the care of, but you have to caretake your partner, now we're losing that polarity that we talked about in the second point. And now we're actually losing the life energy that's going to help you feel the stoke in your fire. There's a reason for this. When we're with a partner, like when I'm in life with Courtney, because she's so alive, because she has her own dharma, her own direction, her own mission of how she wants to serve women and how she wants to lead the certain parts of the work where we support couples. She has her own perspective and she's learning her own skills. And because she's so alive, she actually multiplies my power and my ambition and passion because now there's these forces bashing up against each other that are sexy that now bring me into a place of inspiration. If I'm watching her do all of these things and become her best version of herself, it mirrors back to me like, yeah, I want to do that too, not in competition, but as a compliment too. Because me being in life with her, where she doesn't have to be with me. She could take care of herself. but she chooses to be with me, that's safety for me, because I know she's not here because she's afraid to leave. I know she's here because she actually trusts the way that I'm leading. That's such an enjoyable experience as a man, where she could leave if she wanted to because she's so capable, but she chooses to be here. You know how satisfying that is as a man? It's actually a mirror and reflection of my healthy use of power, of how I am leading, and it's something that we're refining together. There's like when I look at this relationship versus my last relationship, there's this unshakable power and confidence in myself that has been refined in the crucible of our relationship, because she's challenged me almost every day of us being together to be the best version of myself, so that she can feel the mirror and reflection of her power and potency. Now we're in it together. And when we're in it together, life is now exciting. And instead of hours and hours of trying to get our needs met and blaming and shaming each other, not that those moments don't happen, they do. We're human, we get triggered. And we move through that crucible of tension. We learn how to surf each other's waves, and then we find the middle, which is, one of our anchors here is the return to love. We return to love, and we get to notice what is the relationship inviting us into right now, so that we could lead ourselves and lead this relationship in a better, more mature adult way. When we do that, then we get inspiration, we get excited, and we move in the direction of problem solving. We move in the direction of creativity. This is what leads to better offerings into the world. When I look at the life that I live now, I used to be a plumber gas fitter, and now I have, an online program called The Initiated Man, where I serve men in this whole process, and my method to live a really inspired life so that they can show up and meet their partners emotionally in the way that I've been learning how for all these years. That has come from me choosing a powerful, potent woman. When I look at my life before, when it was just me, I didn't have enough confidence, strength, or clear direction to be able to create an offer like that, because I was just able to hide and just like, well, one day, and I'm getting there, and I would just procrastinate, and I would avoid, and I would feel shame about it. So I'd read more books, and I'd be like, I'm not quite ready. Once I learn more information, then I can do the thing. And then I started to waste years of my life. Whereas now with a woman like this, there is no space for me to hang out in, I'm just going to take my time. It's like, no. Where's the man that I married? Not because I have to be more. She just calls me up and forward into the man that I already am, and reminds me of it and keeps me engaged with that part of myself, and vice versa. This is the gift of being with a woman who is alive and potent. This is what creates polarity, charge, sexiness. This is what leads to the power that can then be penetrated into the mission and who you're meant to serve. And this is my own lived experience. Me being able to cultivate the capacity to be with her full expression is the thing that makes doing the entrepreneurial journey actually quite easy. This is the gift. There's a lot of men that feel overwhelmed and exhausted by the business and the management of the money and all the things, because they haven't practiced being with feminine alive energy at home. So the alive life energy of the world is exhausting and its weight. But when we say yes to the potency of a woman, we are refined into the gifts that then now when I go out into my work, it's just exciting and invigorating, because I've already done the reps over there where it's actually way harder. It's way harder to lead a woman who is unpredictable, forever changing, than it is to build a business that is actually can be systematized, and there can be structure brought in that leads to pretty predictable results. It's actually way safer, but it's easier to take all the steps to do the thing when I'm refined by the relationship itself. And this, for me, is the big disruptive take. In the past, I thought, I want to put all my energy and force into the work and the challenging things over there. And I just want to come home, and I want it to be easy, and I want it to be comfortable, and I just want her to bring me pleasure. Like, that's what I actually used to believe. But what's ironic is the very thing that makes the business easier and enjoyable and fulfilling is not having a compliant woman. It's having a disruptive, what some men would say is a difficult woman. She's an alive woman. This has completely changed my experience of life. And this is what I coach and guide other men on, and so if you're listening to this already and you feel inspired, go down in the show notes. There's more information that you could click on with the Initiated Man. And we go into way more depth so that you can actually become that man. Okay, so now, as I promised, 3 key shifts that absolutely have to happen in order for you to be able to experience the benefit of an alive, potent woman. I'm going to talk about it in a second, but I want to first share this statement. A wild woman, an alive woman, will wash a man away if you let her. A woman will wash a man away if you let her. This is polarity. This is what she invites, is for you to step up and learn and practice leadership to be able to guide her back into a sense of safety. So one of the 3 shifts that have to happen is you have to actually practice not taking her emotions personally. Her emotions she's not trying to attack you, even though, and this is a tricky one, and I want to validate you here. I'm sure that sometimes her words are shaming and critical, and they are a judgment of character, but I want to challenge you here. The energy, women are feminine and expressive. They're going off emotion, and their words, they just use based off of emotion. But you have to be able to shift the perspective and recognize she's actually just challenging you to see if you will collapse. Will her words break you? Will you be shaken down into smallness, contract, nice guy, or will you blow up and defend and attack? She's not choosing to do it. It's what they do. Once you can see that her emotions aren't there to destroy, but they're to draw you out up into power, it changes the game. She's teaching you how to be a rock in the storm. That's going to help you in all areas of your life, because then when things happen, changing of markets, all these things, you'll just be able to stay there. Second one, you have to expand your container. There's so many men that I've worked with in my one-to-one container over the years. A lot of the work is helping their nervous systems let go of all the defense strategies that are protecting the inadequacies and the insecurities underneath that prevents the capacity to hold space. You have to be able to build tone, to be the container, so that when she comes and shares her big waves and energy, you can be the banks of the river. You can guide her energy back into softening and settling. That's where she creates trust with you. She needs to feel that she can be her full expression of self, and you're not going to be washed away, that you can stand there with your feet on the ground, breathe deeply, look into her eyes and be like, yeah, I'm here. Hey, whoa, look at me. I've got you. Yeah, I can see you're upset. Tell me more. Yeah, of course. Validating, acknowledging, reassuring her and be like, hey, come here. Pull her in. This is something I'll do with Courtney often. She's in big ranges. I slow down. I get present. I bring my container, my capacity, the practices that I do to build out, my nervous system. And I move towards her and I put my hand on her back, hand on a heart sometimes. I look into her eyes and be like, hey, I got you. I love you. Crying. Often it leads to crying, and she lets go. The rage turns into tears, and then it's this reflection that I long for, where I end up receiving what I need as a man, which I'm sure you need also. We all need this, is now I'm being respected. She says things like, wow, a man has never held me in that way. This is what I always needed growing up. Oh my God, thank you. Oh, I feel so held. It's like, oh yeah, more. Tell me more. I just love that. I love that. But it comes from having the container. Now, the third point is you have to learn to appreciate the storm. This is one of the hardest to do because especially if you've been conditioned by society or the manosphere, where there's this messaging that women actually are a problem and that you need to get your power back and be the man that makes all the money and just have her give you pleasure and do all the things and her just respect you in your power. That's domination, by the way. That's the patriarch, masculine energy disconnected from nature. You have to look at the storm as nature. You have to look at a woman that this big wave of energy isn't a problem. It's the thing to refine you into your power. This means you're going to have to challenge your own narrative. Your default thoughts here, and check this out for yourself, is when she's in big waves of emotion or upset or challenging you, it's very easy to default with all these stacked narratives inside of, here we go again. She just can't appreciate how much I do or how hard I work. And there's stories that are built that put all these sticky notes on her and label her as something. Oh, here we go. Oh, she's on her period. This is crazy. She's crazy. This is out of control. God, when will she ever stop? Like things that aren't honoring of nature. You have to challenge those thoughts and start to see her in this way. When she comes with that energy, man, she's alive. God, do I love her life energy. Whew. Wow. When Courtney comes to me with big energy, now more of the time, sometimes I still get triggered. More of the time, I put my feet on the ground and I welcome the wave. I'm like, here we go. Big swell just came. I got my board and I'm going to surf this, and it's going to feel so damn good to be able to surf this. Why? Because here's the fun mission part. Because then the next day I'm going to go on a podcast and I'm going to share what actually happened in the kitchen and the way that I was able to lead her that led to her respecting me, her feeling emotionally met, which is what all couples are trying to figure out right now. And then I get to go talk about it on a podcast, not to, toot my own horn or, get validated and stroke my ego, which it does a little bit, but it's more just now I'm in my mission. I'm actually embodying the type of man that I want to be, that I pray to be. And I get to share it with other people to hopefully inspire others, men, to go do the work, to learn these things, come into my offering, other men's offerings, just doing the work so you can also feel this too, so that women can start to feel emotionally met, soften, and move into the juicy part of themselves that they're longing to experience. That is the most enjoyable experience for me as a man. It's the thing that makes me feel the most rich because it's the man I'm actually becoming. I'm becoming a safer man in the world, helping other men become safer men in the world. I believe boldly that's the thing that's going to dissolve war. Teaching men how to say yes to life energy, saying yes to women with big waves. Because if we can surf the big waves in our home with one woman, then the big complex situations of war and all the chaos of immature human behavior of sex trafficking and murder and abuse, and it's then we can actually bring that power and say, hey, not okay. Let's get you help. That's power. That's leadership. But that only happens in the day-to-day practice of saying yes to a woman. That's my lived experience. That's the only way it gets refined. That's the emotional workout every day. That's the relational workout where we aren't allowed to hide. We don't want a woman that will let us hide because then we misuse our power in the world. We create a mess. And then we end up feeling a lot of shame and regret about it. You don't want to end up like my dad on his deathbed, sitting there, I remember seeing him in this mild coma, and his last words, he just sat there in a bed going like this, and he was having some sort of, his eyes were fluttering, and he just sat there going like this with his finger for some reason, and he just kept repeating, I was supposed to be good to be better. I was supposed to be good to be better. And he just repeated it over and over, and my heart ached because I felt like I was looking at a man that was beyond the veil somewhere. He was about to die. And I really felt intuitively he was actually facing the music of his behavior, of his whole lived life, of the alcoholism, the not showing up and doing the thing. And he was having regret and remorse. We don't want to have that insight on our deathbed. We may as well have that insight right now and turn towards the women in a way that stops making them the problem and says, thank you for bringing your energy. God, you're sexy. You are alive. Like when a man can shift from a place of like, why are you doing this to me, to, oh my God, I love doing this with you. That's where life changes. This is where a man starts to experience true emotional freedom. And it's the thing that I want for you. So guys, stop looking for a woman that you can control, that's soft, that's agreeable. It is the thing that is going to kill your spirit. Look for a woman that's alive, that's going to challenge you so that you get to experience the power that you didn't even know was possible and the satisfaction of bringing that to life and having it received. I've created something for you. If you want to learn how to de-escalate a woman, that's one of the things that you are going to have to learn is when she brings her storm, you're going to have to learn how to meet it and de-escalate it into safety. You know, I shared an example of how I do it in the kitchen, but I created a playbook for you. If you want it, go down in the description. There's a playbook. It's free. You click on it, you download it, and you can practice it in your day-to-day life. So you get to experience just how free you can be when you learn how to embody this way of being a man. See you in the next one.